Hey, Kevin here from DIYDork.com. Today I want to show you how you can change the look of your fridge by wrapping it in vinyl. So check this out. This is a really cool project. Alright, so now what I've done to make it easier to manage is I've rolled it up, and if you notice I kept the vinyl color on the outside. That way it stays nice and tight. If you try rolling it the other way with the backing paper facing out, it's going to cause all kinds of issues with wrinkles and things like that. Alright, so then you want to lift it up here, and that's why we created that tape hinge, and then you want to pick at it a little bit, okay? Now I've kind of pre-done it so it's a little easier for the video, but I like to peel up about 3 or 4 inches, alright? And then you can take a pair of scissors, or if you're good with your X-Acto knife, you can take it and you want to cut a couple inches this paper away. So let me do it real quick. You want to be careful not to cut the vinyl, you're only cutting the backing paper that we peeled off. Peel that away. All right, then you want to hold it nice and tight when you bring it back down. And what I like to do is start in the center with my squeegee, and I like to use the soft side so that it doesn't scratch it up, and just get it sticking, okay? And what you want to do is work from the center out. So just get that top edge laying down nice, and work from the center both sides. All right, once it's going, then you can start working it a little more. And it kind of looks wrinkly, but it should straighten out. If you do get a wrinkle, what you can do is just hold nice and tight and just kind of pop it back and keep it going. So you just want to keep working it, and then don't quite go down to the edge where we cut the paper. Keep it just a little above that. And then what you can do is just roll it back up and then just peel some more of this away, but you don't have to cut it this time, okay? Just leave a few more inches. Make sure it doesn't, flip back up, and then you just do the same thing. Just keep working, just work from the center. I wouldn't go down more than about 1 inch or 2 at a time, and just work from the centers out. And it might take a little practice, so your best option is probably to start with the side that doesn't show, like maybe it's hidden by cabinets or something like that, and just get it going. All right, so let me get this on here, and then I'll show you how to work the edges. I should also mention that if you notice, I'm not trying to wrap it right now. I'm keeping it as flat as possible, and that way it'll stick better. Another thing, if you get a bubble for some reason that won't come out, you can take your really sharp X-Acto point and just barely nick it at the very edge of the bubble, and then work from the opposite direction, and it should push the air out, and now the bubble is popped. Now, I don't know if it shows in the video, but there was a little tiny bubble, now it's gone. So just be real careful and just work your way down, and don't worry about the extra overhang. We'll work on it next. All right, now once you get comfortable with it, you don't have to keep going like this, just kind of eating away at it. You can start going sideways. So again, you still want to start in the center, and it's just a little faster this way, but you might want to build up confidence to do this first. But it goes down a little bit faster that way. And then, you can still kind of do this to tighten down any bubbles or whatever, but it's a little faster that way once you get comfortable with it. All right, so now that all the vinyl's up, I'm gonna work on rolling it around the backside here, show you how that's done. So you start in the center, kind of like you did here, and you can kind of just take your finger and roll it around and work your way towards the edges, all right? Then you can take your squeegee and just make sure it's nice and tight, all right? And then you can kind of see just right up here, there's a little bit of a seam. So that's when, after you've rolled it all over and you made sure it's stuck pretty good, you can take your knife and just kind of, let me raise this up a little bit, kind of show you. So you can take it and run it right along the edge and just cut right down the tape. And be careful to not, accidentally slip and go this way. But you can just kind of cut it like that, and it should just glide right down. And then when you peel that vinyl, see if I can get it here. When you peel that vinyl, you'll have a nice clean edge that you can then just work back with your finger and kind of roll it into that seam. Let me see if I can show it better here. Yeah, see the seam here? You can just make sure it rolls in there, because that edge is the first thing it's going to try to peel. So you want to be careful with that, okay? Now also, once it's installed, because I only went halfway up here, I can take my just a rag with some soapy water and clean off all of that grease pencil. And you just want to be careful not to catch that, because there's going to be a little up there, and that's going to want to try to peel too. So just kind of be careful with that, and especially around the edges. So next I'll show you the front door, how I wrap it. All right, now one more thing I want to mention is when you're working this lip, You can tighten it as much as you want, but there's a good chance that it's going to still want to pop back. So what you can do is work heat on it. Okay, now you can use a heat gun, but if you've never done this before, it's really easy to melt the vinyl and it'll actually burn. So I'm just using a regular hair dryer. I'm putting it on hot, but I'm only putting the power onto low, and I'm just letting it heat up slowly. And then what it does is it kind of reactivates the adhesive back there, and then you can really work it in and it should hold on and hang on tight. Now another thing that might happen though when I'm heating this edge is this side might start getting a little loose and it might get a few bubbles, so you may have to work them out later. But let me do it real quick and see if I can kind of show what happens here. So you have a loose spot right there. It's still kind of wanting to peel away a little bit, so I'm gonna get it heated up. And when it gets hot enough, you'll actually see it start to move on its own because it gets so flexible. And then you should be able to just jam that in there and it'll hold nice and tight. And if it don't pop back out, then you know it's a real nice tight seal. Okay, so now that the side's done, it's time to do the door. Okay, now on a lot of fridges, the door is flat just like the side, so it's no big deal. Plus they're just straight across here, so you could do the same thing, just do the hinge method and work your way down. But I have a couple of problems with mine. Okay, first of all, because it has that inset little grip to pull it open instead of a handle, it only has about a 2-inch wide spot on top at the highest point. So I can't really tape up there and hinge because it's going to be all loose right here. Okay, so I need to somehow turn the vinyl into its own hinge by just peeling back paper and sticking it on. Now the other thing, I think I mentioned earlier, but my fridge is curved on the front. It just has a little bit of a curve. So if I try sticking it like this and then sticking it down on a curve like that, there's a good chance it's going to wrinkle at some point. So I think it's going to be easier if I actually hold my vinyl up to here and basically take the hinge method I did earlier and just turn it 90 degrees. So I'm actually going to go up and down, okay? And then that way I can just work with the curve and then just slowly peel back a little more paper, roll it up, peel back a little paper, bring it back, and just work up and down, and just work from, right to left, left to right, whatever, until it's nice and smooth. Now I'm not going to do the edges just yet either. I'll leave them loose so that I can work them later and really get them tucked in nice and tight. Alright, so now that I got it started, I can just start doing the same method. Just pull back some of the paper, hold it nice and tight, and then just start working from the center to the outside. So, there's a bubble, I'll work it out. Alright, let's work from the center, pull towards me, and kind of pull towards the top and the bottom, which are the outsides of this piece of vinyl right now. Alright, so this front proved to be way better to be a two-man job, so I had my wife help me here. Alright, now that I'm rolling the side here, I want to continue rolling it around, and basically right here is like the seal for the door. So if I can roll it around in there, okay, stick it down, then I can run my knife and cut it without cutting the seal. Then when that seal flops back down, it'll cover it and keep it from peeling back. So that's how I'm going to take care of this part of the door. Alright, now that I have it real nice and tight underneath the seal, I just took my knife and I cut right along that seam across the whole front, alright, so that I didn't have any extra hanging over. Then I took the hair dryer and I heated it up real nice, and I took my fingernail and just pressed it in really nice and tight so that it didn't start to peel back out. So that looks pretty good. Also, I want to mention here on the bottom, I kind of did the same thing, except I had about 1 inch hanging down. So instead of sitting there and cutting it, I actually just folded it underneath and just sealed it down really nice and tight, figuring that the door is going to open and it might brush across the shoe or something like that, and it could catch the vinyl and want to start peeling it back. So with that extra like inch and a half, underhang down there, I just rolled the whole thing under there and stuck it so it has a real nice tight seal. I did that to the sides as well. So now I'll show you the whole thing when it's all finished. All right, check it out. There it is all finished. Turned out really awesome. Actually has a really nice gloss to it, and I'd say it was definitely a lot cleaner and probably a little easier than if you were going to paint one. And the only problem with the vinyl is that you're probably a little bit limited on colors compared to paint. But the cool thing is that you can change it out if you ever get tired. And I'd say this looks exactly like one of the big chills we found. It had the white top and then this light blue bottom. I'd say the only thing that would probably set it off even more is if it had like a cool chrome handle or brushed aluminum or something like that. But it still looks pretty awesome as is. So there you go. It's how you wrap a fridge and make it look pretty awesome.